This is our single leg deadlift, and we're gonna work through several progressions here. The single leg deadlift is great to teach balance, to work on knee and hip and ankle stability, but it is not always easy for people to do, and often we will see some faults. So what we'll do is we're gonna work through a series of progressions and give you some of the look fors. So the first progression is actually going to a static hold, or what we call an isometric hold. So I'm gonna have Janelle come over, face over to that direction, 6 or 10 inches in between her toes in the box. Bring your feet a little bit closer together for me. And then you're gonna bring a bend into one knee, and the opposite leg is gonna come back onto the floor. And then Janelle's gonna push her butt back. As she hinges forward, bring your hands down to the box. Great. So pause here for me for a second. So a couple of things that we always wanna look for. We always wanna see a nice long neutral spine, check. We'd like to keep the hips pretty level. Janelle's right hip rolled up, so she's just gonna turn this down a degree. Great. And you'll notice that that shifted her forward. That means there's some things going on in that left hip. And the last thing I'll ask Janelle to do is reach her right leg back a little bit further. So this is our static isometric hold. Generally, we'll do this for about 30 seconds. Janelle can start working her hands off of that box very lightly. Start working on the balance. And it is such a simple position, but that does not mean it's easy to hold. And then go ahead and come back up. So progression number 1 is our isometric hold. It is worth starting here. This is actually a really good way to get started and warmed up into any given workout. The next thing we'll do is look at an unloaded body weight only single leg deadlift variant. So Janelle's gonna start in the same position, and she can actually stay pretty close to the box, because then that's there to help her with balance if she needs it. Little bit of a bend into the knee, opposite leg starts reaching back, and that leg is gonna come up, and as the left leg comes up, Janelle's chest is gonna go down. Great. Long neutral spine. This left hip is only up a couple of degrees. We're okay with that. Janelle's gonna come back up, and then she's gonna touch the left foot back to the floor, regain her balance, and then go again. So this is an important point for us. We always like to retouch the foot on the ground, because this is the part of the exercise that matters. I don't care if you can stand on one leg right now. I'd always rather have you tapping that back foot, regain your balance, and then go again. So let's just do one more here. Great. Janelle, could you straighten that left leg a little bit more? Come on up. All right, so progression number 1 is our static hold. Progression number 2 is unloaded body weight only. And then we'll start adding load to this. And we can add load with a dumbbell or a kettlebell. I prefer kettlebells because they are, for things like this, actually easier to hold on to, but you don't have to do that. So we've got a kettlebell out. This is a 25-pounder. And what Janelle is gonna do is hold that thing in front with both hands. So she's gonna bring it up with both hands and pick a knee, a little bit of a bend in that knee. Opposite foot is gonna reach back. And Janelle is gonna simply let herself hinge forward, chest down, right foot comes up behind with right leg straight. And you'll notice that she's not reaching out very far with that dumbbell. It's staying fairly close to her left leg. And then come on up. And why don't we go for 3 more just like that? Again, remember to touch that back foot to the ground when you're standing. Great. And Janelle's got a lot of shake. There's a lot of work going on in that left leg, which is exactly what we're after. And relax. So then we have version 1 again is our isometric hold. Version 2 is our unloaded. Version 3 was this double hand loaded. And then version 4 is gonna be our most advanced here. So Janelle's gonna still pick the kettlebell up, and it's gonna go into one hand. And if Janelle's kettlebell is in her right hand, that means her right leg is gonna be moving. Her left foot is gonna be static on the ground. So again, right knee, right foot back. Okay, great. Left hand, right leg. A little bit of a bend in the right knee. Left leg is reaching back as straight as she can manage. She's gonna hinge forward and then come on up. Great, let's go for 3. And adding the kettlebell to just one side makes this more challenging because now we have to manage the tendency of the chest to rotate sideways. And good, let's go one more. Remember, we always like to touch that back foot. It's easy to forget, but it's worth reminding yourself, especially if you're struggling with balance. Janelle's balance is really looking pretty good today. Great, thanks Janelle. You can go ahead and rest. One last thing on these 4 progressions. Do not make the mistake of loading it before you are ready. A good rule of thumb is when you're going into a workout where you've got single leg deadlifts, do a set of 5 or 10 on each side with no load. Be sure that your balance is really good. Be sure that you have control that day, and then go ahead and load it. Because here's the reality. Loading your single leg deadlifts will make them feel easier. It will be easier to balance, but you are more likely to miss the engagement through the hip and the hamstring, which is what we're after with these. So again, those are our single leg deadlifts through 4 progressions.